and welcome to the Blue Room Live blog. This is a live forum where 25 Perth theatre artists have been invited to share their view on live arts and theatre in Perth. Tonight's blogger is James Berlyn.
Hello. I wanted to talk this evening a little bit about being a performer maker in Perth in 2009. I have a bunch of ideas around which I'm going to put some stuff together that hopefully will be useful and not a complete mess. Before I do that, I would like to say thanks to the Blue Room for this opportunity, and I'd also like to say thanks for the Blue Room. Without this place where you can see senior artists at the peak of their game, you can see emerging artists, mid-career artists, you can get involved, you can have a place, you can be inspired. Without this, this town would be a very different proposition for me as a performer maker. If you don't know me, hello, and briefly, I trained in Melbourne in dance. I got a job here 20 years ago in a dance ed company. I had 6 ankle operations and decided that perhaps dance wasn't so great, so I moved into devised performance, and through that got gigs with other makers in Perth in theatre and movement. For the first time in 15 years, I'm a freelance artist again, which I'm really inspired about and really happy about. And I want to talk a little bit about that. The first idea for me in being a performance maker in Perth in 2009 is about priorities. And simply, it helps for me to be able to reduce my priorities to 25 words or less. What the am I on about? And why am I on about that? And if I'm clear with that, then hopefully the work that I make will have a similar clarity and hopefully will have some transaction with people. Make your peace with your priorities. I can't do it all, and in choosing one thing, there are other things that I miss out on, and I've learned to balance that better over the years. Simply, my priorities are threefold. Conduity, which probably isn't even a word, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Making, performance, performing, and teaching making. And everything else is really just stuff. It's taken a while to arrive at those priorities, and I realise they shift in the course of a career and a life, but I think it's more powerful for me to be succinct about those. Conduity. I don't think it's a word, I tried to find it. What I mean is being a conduit. A conduit is a vessel that carries something, and that's how I feel about ideas. Simply, I've been having ideas from about 3. I don't know where they come from, I don't know really who owns them, but over the period of 20 years of making and not making, I've not valued a lot of them, and I've sold a lot of them cheap. I've been talked out of a lot of them, and I'm at a point in my life as an artist where I'm not going to do that anymore. I think honouring your ideas is essential. And one of the reasons I think honouring your ideas is to do with personal advocacy, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on. Why are ideas and being a conduit, why is that important for me? It's proof of life. I don't have kids, have fabulous nieces and nephews, don't want to have kids. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. But if I have an idea that keeps me awake at night and I transfer that to an audience, a bunch of people, they like it, they don't like it, they run with it, they don't run with it, that's actually how I know that I transact in the world. And that feeling and that experience is essential. That's the thing that I keep coming back for. And in this venue, you get to see a whole bunch of people trying that out. Sometimes the ideas don't work, sometimes they're not as poignant or as powerful as they might have been, but it's that process of proving life for me that I find irresistible. I'm not avoiding the people over here, I'm talking to the camera because I'm actually really crap on camera and I'm just trying to relax and enjoy it. So, priorities we've talked about, and conduity we've talked about. Creativity, I think creativity is manifested in many ways. I think you can be an interpretive creative performer, I think you can be a productive creative performer, and I think you can be perhaps a mix of both. I feel much more like a productive creative performer, by which I mean I'm interested in making the text rather than interpreting somebody else's. Not that either one is good or bad, it's just the thing that turns me on. So trying to do that in Perth is an interesting proposition. Why Perth? I'm not from here. I'm trained in Melbourne, as I said, and I come from Sydney, and I've got a great bunch of friends and family over there and worked over there for a while. But Perth for me is a blank canvas, and I don't mean Perth is blank. I mean it is a blank piece of paper or a canvas on which you can write or paint anything. The opportunities in this place are extraordinary, and because it's a bit smaller and because it's a bit isolated, people try a bit harder, and it's a very, I've found, embracing community. It's a very diverse one, and it's a really great place to make stuff. So the concept of being an artist here is much more doable than being a major metropolitan city like Melbourne or London or somewhere else. And we're more portable and transportable than we've ever been. This thing goes all around the world. Anyway, that's a statement of the obvious, for which I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about personal advocacy. And I think it's hard to be in love with your ideas and then pitch them to other people and make sure that other people interact with them. That is completely challenging for me as an artist. But at the end of the day, if you really want, well, I tell myself, if I really want to prove life by my ideas, I've got to have recipients of those ideas. So I think it's my responsibility. I recently completed 6 months of bureaucracy, and that experience taught me, working for the Department of Culture and the Arts, taught me a great deal about the effectiveness of personal advocacy. Yes, Jeff Kelso is right. We shouldn't be consulted as artists and be not paid for it. Public servants are exactly that. They serve the public. And public servants in the art department serve the public, members of the public who are involved in the arts. However, if we say pay us for consultancy, probably the answer will come back, there's no budget. Why is there no budget? Because we have not demanded any budget. As artists, we should demand that the bureaucracy serve us in the way we think is appropriate. And we should do that at polls, we should do that by consulting the members of the bureaucracy. So I have a challenge for anyone who's watching today. Do you know the members of the arts bureaucracy in the local government in your area, in the state government in your area, and in the federal government? What is your degree of personal advocacy? How much of that have you done? Because my experience there taught me that people were much more effective when they did the work. About to get the bell. So here's another acronym. ARS, by which I mean Artistic Relinquishing of Sustainable Endeavours. It's too hard to be an artist in Perth in 2009. I can't make enough money, it's too expensive. If that's your choice, if you haven't advocated, if you haven't thought creatively about the proposition, if you haven't, what's the other thing I was thinking about? If you haven't organised your priorities, yes, it will be difficult. I believe that Perth is an extraordinary place to make work in 2009, and that's why I stay here. Thank you for your time.